In the year 2492, Earth had long been part of a vast interstellar federation, a speck within the sprawling cosmos governed by myriad alien civilizations, each with their own enigmatic cultures and divine mysteries. Humanity, ever so curious and resilient, had stretched its hands towards the stars, eager to grasp the infinite complexities of the universe. Captain Eliana Voss was at the helm of the star-bound Voyager, a sleek exploration vessel tasked with diplomatic missions across the galactic sectors. Her skin was sun-kissed from the artificial sunlight of her ship, her eyes a piercing gray that mirrored the metallic walls of the bridge. Eliana was a pioneer, a woman who had left behind her terrestrial roots to navigate the celestial unknown. The star-bound Voyager had received an urgent communique from the enigmatic planet Zia, a world shrouded in mystery and guarded by a formidable force known as the High Priestess Azura. The message was cryptic, merely a set of coordinates and a single line. "Come forth, child of Terra, to the temple of the cosmic veil." Driven by intrigue and the promise of new alliances, Eliana set course for Zia. As the ship approached the planet, the crew gazed out at the swirling violet clouds that cloaked the surface, the atmosphere alive with sparkling electric mists. Upon landing, Eliana and her selected crew members donned their ceremonial attires, as per the customs relayed to them through their initial communications with the Zitherian officials. Their garments were rich in hues of silver and blue, designed to represent Earth's oceans and skies, a tribute to their homeworld. The Zitherian landscape was breathtaking, a surreal blend of bioluminescent flora and ethereal structures that seemed to defy the basic laws of physics. The path to the Temple of the Cosmic Veil was lined with towering statues of Zitheria's past high priests and priestesses, each sculpted from a stone that pulsed with a life of its own. As night fell, the stars above Zithia seemed to dance with an otherworldly glow, casting an ethereal light over the procession. Eliana felt an inexplicable pull towards the temple, as if the very cosmos were guiding her steps. At the temple entrance, she was greeted by High Priestess Azura. The High Priestess was a vision of cosmic beauty, her skin shimmering with a subtle iridescence, her eyes reflecting the vastness of space. Her voice was both a whisper and a resonance that filled the chamber. "Welcome, Eliana Voss of Earth, to the ritual that binds the stars." Eliana bowed, respecting the sacred customs of Zithia, her heart racing with a mix of fear and anticipation. Azura extended her hand, her touch sending shivers of cosmic energy through Eliana's body. "Tonight, you partake in a ceremony that transcends the boundaries of your understanding, a ritual that will unveil the secrets of the universe." As they walked deeper into the temple, the walls adorned with ancient celestial maps and artifacts, Eliana felt a deep connection to something beyond her comprehension. The air was thick with a fragrant incense that seemed to warp the senses and alter perceptions. Finally, they reached the inner sanctum, a vast chamber under a transparent dome that revealed the sprawling galaxy above. The floor was a mosaic of starlit tiles, each step upon them echoing like a note in a symphony of the universe. Azura raised her arms, and the chamber was suddenly awash with starlight, the patterns on the floor igniting with luminescent trails that formed a complex array of astrological symbols. "This is the heart of Zithia," she announced, her voice echoing with divine power. "Here, you shall be ravished by the stars themselves." The ritual began with ancient chants, and Eliana, surrounded by the High Priestess and her acolytes, felt her body and soul being drawn into the dance of the cosmos. She was no longer just a visitor, she was part of the celestial tapestry, her essence intertwining with the very fabric of the universe. As the ceremony reached its crescendo, Eliana was not merely a participant, but a conduit of cosmic energy, her earthly boundaries dissolved by the enigmatic power of the High Priestess. She was ravished by the stars, seduced by the knowledge and the divine essence of Azura, in a ritual as forbidden as it was enlightening. As the dawn approached, the ritual concluded, leaving Eliana transformed, her mind filled with ancient celestial wisdom and her role in the universe forever altered. The secrets of the stars were now hers to bear, a gift and a curse that would define her destiny. Eliana stepped out of the temple, the first rays of Zetherian sunrise casting long shadows on the ground, her soul forever bound to the stars. Eliana's breath was still unsteady as she followed Azura deeper into the heart of the temple. The air hummed with a strange energy, as if the temple itself were alive, its walls pulsing with the rhythmic beat of unseen cosmic forces. Each step she took felt heavier, as if the gravity within the temple had subtly increased. Her body, though brimming with adrenaline, struggled to keep pace with the High Priestess, who moved with a fluid grace, untouched by the shifting energy of the space. The corridor opened into a circular chamber, bathed in a soft violet glow emanating from a massive crystal suspended in the center. The crystal rotated slowly, casting shadows that danced along the walls. Beneath it was a raised platform, etched with unfamiliar symbols that seemed to shimmer and shift the longer she stared at them. "This is the nexus," Azura whispered, her voice barely audible but filled with an ancient authority. "The point where your soul will be bound to the celestial forces that guide us all." Eliana hesitated, her mind racing. The nexus radiated an overwhelming power, the air around it vibrating with intensity. The sensations from the earlier ritual still lingered on her skin, and now her body ached with a new kind of anticipation. She was acutely aware that something far more intimate, far more dangerous, was about to unfold. Azura's gaze bore into hers, unreadable but undeniably magnetic. With a simple gesture, the High Priestess beckoned Eliana toward the platform. The symbols seemed to pulse in response, glowing brighter as she stepped forward. The crystal above began to hum, its deep resonance echoing in her bones. As Eliana climbed the platform, Azura circled around her, her robes swirling like the night sky. The priestess began chanting, the words ancient and alien, yet they stirred something deep within Eliana. The air around her thickened, and her skin tingled as if caressed by invisible hands. The power in the room coiled tighter, focusing entirely on her. The crystal's glow intensified, bathing Eliana in light, and in that moment she felt utterly exposed. Her senses heightened. The faintest touch of the air against her skin felt like electricity. Every nerve in her body was on edge, raw and hypersensitive to the flow of energy coursing through the temple. Azura approached her slowly, her lips still moving in rhythmic incantation. She reached out, fingertips grazing Eliana's arm, and the contact sent a shockwave of sensation through her. It wasn't pain, but a searing intensity that burned through her veins, a primal heat that demanded more. Eliana's breath caught in her throat as Azura's touch grew firmer. The High Priestess guided her hands along the etched symbols, the warmth of her palms contrasting with the cold surface beneath them. The symbols flared to life under their combined touch, their light syncing with the rhythm of her heartbeat. Without warning, the crystal above erupted with a surge of energy. The chamber was flooded with light, and Eliana's body convulsed as the power surged through her, tearing away the last remnants of her earthly restraints. Her mind was thrust outward, spiraling into the vastness of the universe, her consciousness expanding beyond the confines of her body. She was no longer bound by flesh and bone, but had become part of the stars themselves. She could feel the burning heat of distant suns, the cold vacuum of the void, the pull of gravity from 1,000 different worlds. She was everything and nothing. Her existence stretched thin across the fabric of reality. And then, through the blinding chaos, she felt Azura. The High Priestess was a constant presence, anchoring her to this moment, drawing her back from the cosmic abyss. Their connection was visceral, intimate, deeper than anything Eliana had ever experienced. Azura wasn't just guiding her through this ritual, she was becoming a part of her. The realization hit her like a wave. This wasn't just a ritual of cosmic bonding. It was a merging of souls, a seduction far beyond the physical realm. Eliana could feel Azura's thoughts, her emotions, the ancient wisdom that coursed through her veins. It was intoxicating. Their energies intertwined, and as the ceremony reached its apex, Eliana could no longer distinguish where she ended and Azura began. Their minds, their bodies, their very essences were fused together in a symphony of light and power. It was overwhelming, terrifying, and utterly exhilarating. The crystal above them dimmed, its energy dissipating as the ritual concluded. Eliana collapsed to her knees, her chest heaving with ragged breaths. She felt hollowed out, yet filled with something far greater than herself. She looked up at Azura, whose expression was unreadable, but her eyes burned with a knowing intensity. "You have been claimed by the stars," Azura said softly, her voice like a caress. "And by me," Eliana shuddered, the weight of those words sinking in. She was no longer just a captain of a starship. She was bound to this world, to this woman, in ways she couldn't yet comprehend. The power of the cosmos flowed through her, and with it came a dark, seductive allure that called her deeper into the mysteries of Zetheria. Azura offered her hand, and Eliana took it, her body trembling as she stood. The High Priestess smiled, a rare, almost predatory smile, and led her away from the nexus, the chamber now silent save for the faint hum of residual energy. The stars above them flickered as if in acknowledgement, and Eliana knew that her fate was now sealed. The path ahead was unclear, but she could feel the pull of the stars, their power coursing through her veins, and deep within, a voice whispered, urging her to surrender to the cosmic forces that had claimed her. Azura led Eliana through the winding passages of the temple, the walls glowing faintly with starlight as they descended deeper into its core. The air grew cooler, but the energy around them pulsed with intensity, humming just beneath the surface. Eliana's senses were still raw, every touch of the atmosphere against her skin igniting sparks of awareness, as if her entire body was now attuned to the cosmic forces flowing through this sacred place. They entered a vast, open chamber, unlike anything she had seen before. At its center, a massive pool of shimmering liquid stretched out, glowing with a soft, ethereal light. It wasn't water, nor any substance she recognized. It moved languidly, as if it were alive, shifting in rhythm with the faint vibrations in the air. "This is the Pool of Echoes," Azura said, her voice a low murmur, as if not to disturb the living stillness around them. "It reflects the past and reveals the unseen threads that bind us all to the stars." Eliana could feel the pool calling to her, its liquid surface rippling with each step she took closer. The temple's energies, the nexus still fresh in her veins, resonated with it. She looked at Azura, questioning, but the High Priestess only nodded slightly, urging her forward. Without hesitation, Eliana knelt by the pool's edge, her fingers hovering just above the surface. She could feel the energy radiating from it. A deep and ancient pull. When her fingertips finally made contact, the liquid surged toward her hand, lapping at her skin in a way that was both gentle and overwhelming. It wasn't wet, but it clung to her like a second skin, spreading up her arm and filling her with an overwhelming sensation of warmth and clarity. Visions exploded in her mind. She saw distant galaxies spinning in the void, planets being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling in mere moments. The images came faster, the vastness of time unraveling before her, and yet they all felt connected, as if one single thread wove through them all. And then, amidst the chaos of the cosmic visions, she saw herself. Her body, standing on a barren alien landscape, stars burning fiercely above. Beside her was Azura, her face shrouded in shadow, yet her presence unmistakable. The two of them, together, facing something indescribable. Azura led Eliana through the winding passages of the temple, the walls glowing faintly with starlight as they descended deeper into its core. The air grew cooler, but the energy around them pulsed with intensity, humming just beneath the surface. Eliana's senses were still raw, every touch of the atmosphere against her skin igniting sparks of awareness, as if her entire body was now attuned to the cosmic forces flowing through this sacred place. They entered a vast, open chamber, unlike anything she had seen before. At its center, a massive pool of shimmering liquid stretched out, glowing with a soft, ethereal light. It wasn't water, nor any substance she recognized. It moved languidly, as if it were alive, shifting in rhythm with the faint vibrations in the air. "This is the Pool of Echoes," Azura said, her voice a low murmur, as if not to disturb the living stillness around them. It reflects the past and reveals the unseen threads that bind us all to the stars. Eliana could feel the pool calling to her, its liquid surface rippling with each step she took closer. The temple's energies, the nexus still fresh in her veins, resonated with it. She looked at Azura, questioning, but the high priestess only nodded slightly, urging her forward. Without hesitation, Eliana knelt by the pool's edge, her fingers hovering just above the surface. She could feel the energy radiating from it. A deep and ancient pull. When her fingertips finally made contact, the liquid surged toward her hand, lapping at her skin in a way that was both gentle and overwhelming. It wasn't wet, but it clung to her like a second skin, spreading up her arm and filling her with an overwhelming sensation of warmth and clarity. Visions exploded in her mind. She saw distant galaxies spinning in the void, planets being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling in mere moments. The images came faster, the vastness of time unraveling before her, and yet they all felt connected, as if one single thread wove through them all. And then, amidst the chaos of the cosmic visions, she saw herself. Her body, standing on a barren alien landscape, stars burning fiercely above. Beside her was Azura, her face shrouded in shadow, yet her presence unmistakable. The two of them, together, facing something indescribable. The door slid open silently, revealing the chamber beyond. At its center floated the orb of ether, a sphere of pulsing, translucent light, shifting with hues that defied description. It beckoned, alive with energy, its surface swirling like a living nebula contained within a perfect sphere. Eliana approached cautiously. The air around the orb crackled, vibrating in harmony with the pulse in her chest. She could feel it watching her, testing her resolve. Her hand hovered over its surface, and the moment her skin made contact, the room exploded with light. Her mind was pulled into the orb. She was no longer in the temple, but surrounded by endless stars, spinning galaxies, and vast expanses of void. Her consciousness was disintegrating, pulled apart into strands of energy, yet she was still aware, still whole, though in a new form. Voices, hundreds of them, whispering, shouting, singing in the language of the cosmos. "Do you seek control or understanding?" One voice boomed, vibrating through her entire being. "I seek both," she responded, her voice raw with the force of her will. The stars collapsed around her, forming a vortex of light and shadow, spinning faster, pulling her toward its core. The pressure was immense, the sensation of being crushed and expanded at once. The voices grew louder, more demanding, testing her limits. The image of the figure from the vision, the being with black hole eyes, flashed before her. Its presence was suffocating yet enticing. Eliana felt herself drawn toward it, the orb's power merging with her own, the force inside her growing beyond comprehension. Suddenly the pull ceased. Eliana stood alone in the infinite expanse, the weight of the stars pressing down on her mind. The voices fell silent. "You are not ready." The voice of the Starborn echoed once more, final and unyielding. The orb's light dimmed, and with a sudden violent force, Eliana was thrust back into her body. She gasped for air, staggering backward, her heart racing. The energy within her had shifted again, stronger now but uncontrollable. Azura was at her side, watching her with intense, unreadable eyes. "You survived," she said softly. "That is enough, for now." Eliana didn't speak. She could feel the chaos within her, swirling, unpredictable, as if the universe itself had been caged inside her soul, waiting to break free. The temple trembled as the power within Eliana grew unstable. She clenched her fists, struggling to contain it. Azura's gaze never wavered, but there was a flicker of concern beneath her calm exterior. "Focus," Azura commanded, stepping closer. "If you do not control it, it will consume you." Eliana's vision blurred. Every nerve felt electrified, her mind spinning in chaotic spirals of light and dark. She reached out, trying to steady herself, but the energy pulsed violently through her veins, a torrent of stars screaming to escape. Azura's hands pressed against Eliana's temples, sending a shockwave of calm into her. The surge slowed, then began to quiet, the chaotic roar in her mind dulling to a faint hum. Their connection deepened, as Azura's presence wrapped around her like a protective barrier, binding her to the present moment. "Feel the rhythm," Azura whispered. "The stars are not wild, they sing. Listen." Eliana focused, her breath coming in slow, measured waves. She reached out not with her hands but with her mind into the maelstrom of power within. Slowly she found the patterns, the celestial harmonies buried in the chaos. The energy shifted, no longer fighting her. It flowed with her, through her, controlled but immense. She exhaled, her body easing as the raw force became a part of her instead of an overwhelming flood. Azura stepped back, watching intently. "Good. Now we move forward." The temple's doors opened, revealing a path of starlight ahead. Without hesitation, Eliana followed, the power within her balanced, yet restless, waiting for what came next. The path of starlight led to a final chamber, vast and open to the cosmos above. In the center stood a towering obelisk, its surface etched with celestial markings, pulsing with the same energy now coursing through Eliana. Azura stopped, her eyes locked onto Eliana. "This is the last test." Eliana approached the obelisk, feeling its gravity pull at her. The power inside her stirred, resonating with the ancient structure. Without hesitation, she placed her hand against it. The energy surged, and the obelisk responded, glowing brighter, its symbols igniting one by one. Suddenly, the starborn voices returned, louder than ever. The obelisk trembled, and the force within Eliana began to flare again, but this time she controlled it. She could feel the stars bending to her will, the vastness of space obeying her commands. The obelisk split open, revealing a core of pure energy. Eliana knew what it was, the heart of Zetheria's ancient power. Without a word, she reached out, letting her essence merge with the core. A blinding light filled the chamber. When it faded, the obelisk was gone, and Eliana stood alone, her body radiating with cosmic power. Azura bowed her head slightly, a rare smile on her lips. "You are one with the stars now." Eliana nodded, feeling the universe in her veins. There was no fear left, only infinite possibilities. The sky above shifted, and Eliana stepped forward into the vastness beyond.